wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Queen decided that she was going to blow her diaper out, like, in the middle of it. So, if you haven't already watched that, you should watch it. It's very funny. And you get some sports knowledge from Henry at the same time.
Yeah.
So, we ended with a difference in personalities. So, Henry and I have very different personalities, and that can cause some obstacles in the relationship. The next thing we want to talk about is gender roles. So, we have a very traditional gender role relationship. He does all the manly stuff, I do all the female stuff. Or non-manly stuff, like, cleaning, laundry, changing blowout diapers, pretty much anything that's contributed to something a woman would do. Now, some people would be like, that's like, this 2017, there shouldn't be gender roles anymore. Yes, there should be. I believe in gender roles. I believe that there are certain things that women do and there are certain things that men do. Not to say that women can't do what men do and men can't do what women do. I'm just saying in our relationship and our marriage, we're happy with the way our relationship is divided and when it comes to chores like that. But at the same time, he takes the trash out. I have not taken trash out since I've been married or in a relationship with this man at all. Because I don't think women should take trash out. And if we're together, I don't get gas. Like, I don't pump gas. Like, if he's with me and we gotta get gas in my vehicle, he pumps it. And then yard work. I don't do yard work. Mowing the grass, weed whacking, all that stuff. He does that. But we're happy with that. So, but there could be some, disagreements in that in other people's relationship because maybe the wife works more than the husband does, and she feels that the husband should do more at the house. So that could be an obstacle in your relationship, but you just have to come to an understanding on, what you expect from each other. Now, not to say that Henry wouldn't do those things, like he has help with laundry, he does know how to wash dishes. But he doesn't primarily do those things. And now that we live with my mom, we have a dishwasher. So, like, nobody really washes the dishes. Except for, like, the big stuff. So, but, that's one thing you have to just be aware of when you're living together. Or even if you don't live together and, you're spending time with each other on the weekends. Just be open-minded. Say, hey, can you help with the dishes? Or, hey, I'll help with this. I'll help with this load of laundry. Can you help switch them out when the load starts again? When you got to get the new load. Whatever. Just make sure, how that you're communicating with each other.
You can even, we do this. Right. We used to do this, like, before we moved over here or whatever. It'd be like, if she cooked, I wash the dishes. If I cook, she wash the dishes.
Right.
So it's like the roles can switch, but the main things should pretty much stay the same. Like, because my thing is, and I tell her this all the time, it's like women aren't made to do what men can do. Women are made to do what men can't do. That's what makes y'all unique. You know what I mean? If you're trying to do everything a man doing, you don't need a man in your life. And that's pretty bad. Like, I understand all the independence and all that. But I mean, at the same time, it's got to be, you got to have somebody to depend on. You should have somebody to depend on for certain stuff. Like...
my fault. I thought that was
Look,
poop.
now I done lost my train of thought because I'm like, what happened to her foot?
Nothing. I thought it was poop.
Oh, yeah, she thought it was poop. Yeah, she pooped!
That's an inside joke.
Yeah, she the boss.
So when King was a baby, this small... and I was breastfeeding him. He didn't poop for like 14 days. Seriously, for like 14 days, he did not poop. So then when he did poop, I was so excited. I was like, he poops! With like all this excitement in my voice, and Henry loves that. Like, cause it was hilarious. Because who gets excited about somebody pooping? You do when you're a parent and your child hasn't pooped in 14 days.
All right,
but he was okay. But anyways.
Yeah, back to what we said. Okay, so next topic.
So who makes the most money? I do. But some people could have a problem with that because, ideally traditionally, men are normally supposed to make more money than the woman. But Henry and I have chosen different career paths, and at this point, he's not making as much as I do. But that doesn't change how he contributes to our, marriage. He's still the man, regardless. He's still the king of our castle, even though we have king. He's still the king of our castle. He still, plays, he's still the man. So it doesn't change. And he's comfortable with the fact that I make more money than he does. And it doesn't change anything about him. It doesn't change his masculinity. It doesn't change who he is at all as a man. But that could be a problem in some people's relationship.
And you know why I don't care? Because it's our money.
Exactly.
If she get a raise, we get a raise.
Exactly.
If I get a raise, we get a raise. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's where a lot of people get stuff confused. I mean, it's like, okay, like, for example, because we got 1, 2, 3, we got 3 more left in 8 minutes. All right. So some of my family members, they be going at it like, you know what I mean? When somebody else get a raise, they go at it and go at it. When, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to tell them, like, look, okay, so y'all a group. Like, it's y'all. So if she get a raise, you get a raise. If he get a raise, y'all get a raise. It should be a us thing. Like, that's why we got a joint bank accounts. You know what I mean? Like a joint bank account, because all money is our money. There's no separation. Like, and I can see all the money in the account. She can see all the money in the accounts. So I mean, it's like the money don't matter. Like, because if I was making more, it'd be the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? But she's making more now. She started off making more than me. Like, so it ain't no way that I'm going to catch that. Because every time I get a raise, she get a raise. Like, okay, well, wait a minute. We're going to tell them not to give you a raise for about 10 years so I can catch up. Like, for real. But yeah, it ain't going to happen. So, yeah, so priorities. That can be one of the biggest obstacles in a relationship is priorities. I think, because if people don't have their priorities straight, like, okay, I have to think about the house first. If your house and your family and your relationship is not a priority to you, you're doing something wrong. Like, because you need to focus on your haven, your safe haven. You know what I mean? Because, like, all the stuff we got to go through out there, period. Everything we go through out there, we should have a place to come to where there's none of that, where we don't have to worry about anything, where we could cry, laugh, be mad, do whatever we can do whatever we want to do in our house, you know what I mean? And you shouldn't have to come home and be like, oh man, here we go again. But then you got to think about it. You didn't set your priorities straight, so you didn't make sure your house was good before you left. So you're going to come back to the same thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So that was what he said is really good. So, to add to that is that when there's a lot of stuff that has to be done in the house, and say I ask Henry, to help with this, help with that, and, before he does whatever, he would like to do, if he doesn't make me a priority and do those things, even though to him he's like, well, I could just do those later. If he doesn't make them a priority for me, and then I come home, or I realize, well, dang, you didn't even do what I asked you to do, that's going to cause strife in our relationship.
We talking about that pineapple again?
No, it was the kiwi.
we talking about that kiwi again.
That's a good story. I have enough time to say it because we only have one topic left. So when Henry and I lived in the apartment together, this was years ago, before we were married, so at least 5 years ago. So I had bought some kiwis. And so I always ask Henry to cut stuff for me because I am notorious of cutting myself in the kitchen on something. Like, I always cut myself with knives, anything. Like
choppers.
I always cut myself. So I always ask him to cut things for me. And, kiwis aren't hard to do, but I just asked him to cut the kiwis for me. And I asked him a couple times. And like I said, when we lived together before, this was when I worked first shift, and I don't remember what shift we worked, but I got home before he did. So I got home and they still weren't cut, and I'm like, seriously? So, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't the matter of the kiwis. It was the fact that I asked him to do something and he didn't make it a priority. He didn't do it. So he came home, and I didn't know that something had happened happened to him before he got off work. So I find out information after this. What I'm getting ready to tell you happened. So he gets home, and I'm like, you didn't cut the kiwis for me. But I probably didn't say it like that. I probably had an attitude, which most of you would understand. Agree that I would do that because you know how I am. So he got so mad that in our bedroom we had a box fan that we had sitting on a chair. And our bedroom was right next to the bathroom. So, like, the chair and the fan was, like, directly in front of the bathroom, but, like, spaced. So he hit the fan so hard that he flung the fan into the bathroom and cut himself. Like, because he hit it so hard. And he was pissed off because instead of me, like, just leaving him alone, which I normally do when he got home from work, I was bringing up these damn kiwis, and he's like, seriously? But I found out that a family member of his had passed away that day, but I hadn't had a chance to talk to him yet about it. So even though to me it was a priority that he did something for me, my priority should have been addressing what was going on with him, because he didn't come home with a happy attitude. So I should have had a priority of, seeing what was going on. But that's kind of one of those stories that we look back on now, and I'm like, seriously, he got that mad? But seriously, did I really have to bring up the kiwis? I could have just cut them myself. But anyways, so priorities, making sure that the things that you expect from each other, you're holding those things to your utmost priorities. You should be your number one priority to the other person. Like, they should be your number one priority, and vice versa. They always should come first. And when people say, who comes first, your husband or your kids, your husband. Because your husband, you wouldn't have your kids without your husband. So that's just a tidbit. Husband comes first. Ideally, if you're putting your husband first, you're going to be able to put your kids above him. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta take care of them first. Because we as parents have to be at our best to be able to be the best to our kids. So if that topic ever comes up, husband always come first.
Yes.
and then
she come first to me.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, we should come first to each other, because if we're not uplifting each other, then we're not going to be able to do best for our kids. That's what I mean. If we're only focusing on our kids and we're not giving attention to our spouses, then we're not going to be able to give as much that we can to our kids, because we're not going to be full. We have to fill each other's cups up before we can take care of our kids. If you get what I mean. So our last topic here is decisions. And we've talked about this on other ones, but this is a little different. So making decisions without talking to each other, I think, is where you were going with this. So sometimes you can make decisions that, affect the relationship, but you don't talk to each other about it. But that could be a big obstacle, especially if the decision you're making, the other spouse, you've already talked to them about, and they don't agree with what decision you're going to make. That can cause problems. And we have like 1 minute and 35 seconds left. So you got anything to say on that, babe?
Yeah. Okay, so my family, they was like, they would ask me to do stuff, and they'd be like, oh, well, he got to check with Jessica first. Like, before he can do anything, he got to check with Jessica. Thing is, I don't have to check with her. I do that out of respect, because it's like, we are the team. So, of course, I'm going to let the other player on the team know to play. Like, because you know what I mean? Seriously, like, you can't really be like, I'm not worried about that person, and you just do what you got to do and don't know how to affect them. So, I mean, I talk to her about everything. Even the dumbest thing, like, I know I can do it. Like, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to get this money out of the bank. But then I also be like, okay, I'm going to talk to her about it, because she's the financial head. So, not because she makes more money now. Hold on. Not because she makes more money, but because she's better at budgeting. So she's in control of the budgeting and where money goes and how it's allocated and all that. So we got 30 seconds. Anything? Nothing. All right. 26 seconds. We're going to do this in a fast motion. Thank you for tuning in. Now I'm just playing. Happily Married TV. We off pause. Armaday ENT. Happily Married TV at gmail.com. Leave comments. You can put comments in these videos. That's about it.
And if you didn't already watch the Facebook live, or the part 1 that's going to be uploaded on Facebook, on YouTube, because it's really funny. You get to see what it's like being parents of a newborn. So
yeah, it's what it is. We off pause out here. Armaday ENT.